All right, y'all. How's it going? I'm going to try and get this through real quick. I promised to do this last night. Got busy doing stuff. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, that was a hell of a short squeeze that we had on Friday. And we just went ahead and reclaimed this trend line that we broke down from. We still came just shy of the 200 period moving average. So this very well could have been a fake breakdown, or this could have just been another retest of this breakdown area in the 43.20 to 43.30 area, right? See where price reacted here and here. We could just be back testing this area one more time. So, just going to have to see how this plays out. We had a nice little gap down over the weekend at Sunday Open, and ES sold down to 4,300 and bounced, so far holding it. The bulls need to hold 4,300. Let's just get right into ES. So we're still in this bearish channel, but we're at the lower end of it. So, a bounce should be coming, right? So it makes sense that we're trying to hang on to this area, okay? But again, so we opened on a gap down 43.15, and we sold down to just below 4,300, and we bounced back up, and we've just been kind of chopping around here in this 43.10 to 43.20 area. Let's look at the hourly chart. So you can see, this is a pretty major area right here in the 4,300 area. We bounced from it a few times in the end of September, and then we eventually broke down from that level, came up and tested it and rejected it 3-4 times, okay, until we finally broke above it on Friday, and we went all the way up to 43.58, right? So they like to do this stuff all the time, right? So you'll hit an area of support a few times, break down from it, test it a few times, and then they break above it, they just went in a straight line up, right? So they like to come back down and back test that area. So as long as this 4,300 level holds, then it's possible we get a push back up to fill this gap up at 43.40. Okay, so be on the lookout for that today. Okay, if we hold this 4,300 level and come up and push and fill the gap, and then either consolidate or push above that, I'm leaning going to be more bullish on that, okay? If we fail to fill the gap and we just break back below 4,300, then I expect at least a test. Let's get rid of this. This isn't important anymore. I at least expect a test of 42.77 and possibly 42.60 again, or 42.58. Okay, put that there. Okay. So, and if we break below 42.58, then, we're just going to go right back. We're just going to go down to 4,200. Then it's going to get really bearish from there. But, for now, I'm not going to lean too hard one way or the other. I am trying to slightly lean bullish here with, but that is dependent on 4,300 holding. We have to hold 4,300 and then move up from there. And then I'll feel better about being bullish. Bonds trying to put in a bottoming process here, I think. We hit a low here, which is a major low that goes all the way back in 2009, okay? And then we dipped just below that into the 108 area to stop out all the longs, and it looks like we're trying to rotate back up. So what am I looking for in bonds? So I think at least we come up and test that 112 area, okay? And then possibly up to the upper 115s, okay? Or that 21 SMA up above, which is right around 115. Oh, what are we doing here? Let's take a look at TLT now that we're talking about bonds. Yeah, so similar story. I was kind of looking for a possible test of this 82 area, but I'm open to this being a bottom here and then possibly rotating back up into this 88 area. So I'm long TLT Commons right now, and I am looking for a retrace up into this 88 area, possibly up into the 90 area, because there's lots of gaps up above. Okay, so we've got a gap, small gap right here. There's a pretty big size gap up here, and then there's an even bigger one up here in the 93 area. So eventually I do think we come back up there, and that's why I'm holding on to TLT for now, just in shares. But we'll just have to see where we go this week. Let's take a quick look at, I'll look at RTY. So RTY came down and tested this major support level that we were talking about, and Friday we looked like we were going to start rotating back up, and then of course Sunday kind of squashed the continuation of that, and we gapped down 1%, and we've just been kind of hovering around 1740 since the Sunday opening. So we'll see where we go from here. I mean, possibly they wick down again just to kind of freak out the bulls before moving back up. But ultimately, I am kind of looking for a rotation back up into this 1800 area, but at least into this 1780 area. I mean, I would love to just get a retrace back up to there. I'm still kind of long the RTY, and I do have a little bit of IWM exposure, but I want at least a retrace up here and possibly up into this 1800 to 1820 area. Okay, so RTY is a kind of a lead indicator for me. So if RTY starts breaking down and gets below 1720, then that's not going to look good for ES or NQ. Just being honest. So if RTY starts to rotate back up, then I'll start feeling a little bit better about the bulls. Let's take a look. So I want to look at VIX too. VIX. Where's VIX at? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, so, we had a nice big breakdown from Wednesday into Friday, right? I mean, it just sold off relentlessly. It got down as low as 1750, okay, which was below this major support level that I had. It did end up closing just above it. And then Sunday, of course, we had a nice big gap up. It was up at 9% at one point last I checked. It's still up about 6%. But if it keeps rejecting below this 1950 to 1920 area, that is going to help the bulls on the ES. If it does break back above 1950, 1960, then we're looking at 2090 above and then 2155 up above that. So keep an eye on VIX. If we can reject below 1950 or even below 1920 and head back to 17.9 and break below that, then ES can push back up towards 4400. Okay. What else do I want to look at here? So DJT, another one that I like to look at. We'll see where this one opens up at, but we held the trend line. We tested it 3 times, and then Friday we got that nice bounce and follow through. So we'll see where it's at today. Most likely it will gap down, but as long as this trend line holds on DJT, I'm going to be leaning more on the bullish side for ES, especially if we can break this trend line right here at some point in the next week or so. I think that'll start looking a lot better for the bulls as well. Like I pointed out in the last video, you saw what happened when DJT broke this uptrend here. We have been sliding down ever since, and the market kind of topped out. NYA, so this one did break its trend line, and then Friday it kind of had a nice little rally, but it could just be back testing that trend line. It's really tough to say. RSP, the equal weight index. So, just kind of chopping below this major support zone that I have. Didn't reclaim it. It just kind of closed just below it. It did hit a high above it and then rejected back below. So we'll see where we open up on this one today. Looks like pre-market it's trading at 139.62, so not too big of a gap down. But, you know, if we get back above Friday's high, then again, this will be looking a lot better for the bulls. If we start breaking back below 138, then this is going to look pretty bad. So that's another one I'll be keeping an eye on as well. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to go over any individual names in this video. I might post one in a little bit. I would like to go over... so I went over the lower levels. So we have 43.40 up above on ES, and then 43.70 is another key level that we need to break. If we can break above 43.70, then I'm thinking 4400 is definitely in the cards. So, and that's about the high of this breakdown candle here. Okay, and then we also have the middle of this bearish channel here, which can also act as a resistance, which puts us at around 44.20-ish. Okay, so if we start to become bullish, that's kind of our resistance zone that I'll be looking at, is this 4400 to 44.20 level for a possible rejection. Let me just pull up, get this out of here. Okay, so from this breakdown, yeah, so we're actually trading below the point of control here. So this is another area of resistance here at 43.24. Unless we start getting above that, you know, it's going to be leaning more bearish on the ES, and you can see ES already traded back down to 43.10 from 43.15. So, you know, for now it's looking like, you know, they're going to shake the tree a little bit more, which is common after a big move up like we had on Friday. Okay, you know, you're going to have people that are taking profit, you know, so we just have to kind of wait and see how this week plays out. I'm not going to really, like I said, lean too hard one way or the other. I'm not going to rush into any positions. I'm not going to, you know, overextend myself, you know, just kind of have to wait and see. We're kind of at a pivotal moment here because we can just as easily break down as we can, you know, head back up. So, you know, just play it cautious this week, guys. Play it small. You know, like I still have the same positions that I talked about in the last video. I've got call spreads for January, 450 by 470 for the SPY. I've got some broken wing butterflies and put credit spreads for November. But I also have some hedges on the downside for October. Okay, so, you know, if we continue to be weak and break back below 4,300, I will be protected in the short term. And then I'll just have to decide what I want to do with those bullish spreads. You know, there's lots of time on them, but, you know, I'll have to decide whether I want to, you know, add to them, cut them, or roll out a different strike. You know, it just kind of depends, right? Because if we start trading back down to, you know, 4,200 or below that, then, you know, those spreads start becoming out of the money, you know, pretty far. And, you know, it makes it less likely that that spread ends up becoming or ends up hitting my target. So, you know, if that happens, then I'll most likely roll lower strikes, you know, and take profit on my hedges for October. But, you know, again, we'll just have to wait and see. You know, market will be opening here in about 36 minutes. So, you know, let's just see what we get, and I'll keep you guys posted. All right. Thanks, guys.